Right, ready to go, Dunners?
Let's do it, Tommy.
Yes. Okay, here we go. Hello and welcome to a brand new show, The Offload, with me, Tommy Bowe, and the man,
Donncha O'Callaghan, yes.
There he is. We're going to cover the big stories. We're going to share loads of our own stories. We're going to chat lots of rugby and hopefully have a lot of laugh and a bit of crack.
Absolutely. It's kind of an insight into our dressing room is what we'd like to think it of. And I'll be honest with you, Tommy, we've been chatting about doing it for so long to actually sit down and finally get the finger out and do it.
I'm so excited because listen, there's loads of podcasts out there, lots of rugby podcasts, but I think what we're going to give, what you're going to give, we're going to give behind the scenes in the change rooms and discuss some of the bigger stories, not even in rugby, in the sporting world, but given our experiences of it as well.
You're right. Everyone's doing a podcast, aren't they? Nicky Byrne's doing a podcast.
Listen, come on, Nicky, we're coming for you.
What next? Like Brian Dobson and Dustin doing one on knitting. Like, you know what I mean? So why not us jump in? Everyone else is at it. Nicky, who are you calling for the podcast?
Nicky. Well, Brian McFadden first up as well. Big boots
exactly
to fill. We're coming for you.
Ring Drico.
Oh no, he's with Tuberty. We're screwed.
It's all done.
We're all screwed.
We should chat about knitting. There isn't as many knitting podcasts.
With Dustin. You're actually onto a winner there. Get rid of me. Dobbo and Dustin.
Dobbo and Dustin chatting stitching.
So here, it's been a big week down in Cork. A sad week in Cork. Lennox has closed their doors. I always remember you, like Dunners, you used to look after your body. Like we used to go to the cinema on a Thursday night before an international. We used to get the IRFU card, and I had Mike Ross in my ear going, Rebels. Shut up, Rossi, will you? I had the full pick and mix, full major popcorn, the whole lot, and I look across and you're eating a bunch of grapes that you've stolen from the hotel.
Yeah, I used to be a bit like that. But Lennox is an institution in Cork. I think it was something like 73 years it was in Cork. Yeah. And it was nearly a rite of passage to show how Cork you were. Because, Tommy, the way you went into this chipper, you had to shout your order from the back. You know what I mean? So you, like, if you were going in there,
surely the size of you.
I know that, but you'd have to thicken up your Cork accent because everyone in the queue would want to know a little bit about you, if you know what I mean, and they were listening to the orders and stuff like that. But so I used to labour for my brother. He was a plasterer, and we used to work kind of 7 to 7 on a kind of house around the corner. So we would go in there
pre-rugby.
Yeah. I was in 5th year, right. So for that summer, yeah. But I remember we used to go into Lennox's before we'd go home for our dinner. You know, when you're working that kind of much that you like your body's just a furnace. But I remember then it was always unbelievably delicious, good food and like proper chipper chips, you know, that kind of way. But we went in after a match one time, all the rugby lads, and we had Mick O'Driscoll with us. Mick
O'Driscoll, right.
There you go.
I don't think it's that good, actually. That's my desperate accent.
No, but you've nailed it. Micko's quite C4. You know what I mean? If Cork had like an affluent person, Mick O'Driscoll is the definition of it. So we all went in to make our order, like, and I was there, you know, you go and you kind of, can I get a fish supper, no peas? You know what I mean? You give it loads as much as you can. And then Micko stood there and went, may I have? And you could see the whole queue turned around and there was just the feckin' rugby lads, and you're like, oh Micko, you've ruined this for us. So everyone was coming down to celebrate Lennox's leaving, but none of the rugby lads could go in because I'd say we're barred over Mick O'Driscoll.
Well, that's exactly what you're going to get in this podcast. Unfortunately, Micko is going to get a right hammering along with a load of the boys as well.
You had a busy week. You met Rhasidat
Adeleke. We had interviewed her. She is so impressive, my goodness.
Wow.
Interviewed her. She was doing a sponsorship day, whatever, for Ireland, and she was there. She was putting a load of people through their paces. Thankfully, I didn't have to do. I tell you, she's one girl who doesn't go to Lennox's.
Yeah.
But I did an interview with her after, and I said to her, because she studies and has been living in Texas for the last couple of years, so when she comes back, what's the one meal that she has to get straight off?
Yeah, brilliant.
A spice bag.
No way.
So there's Dublin right there. Straight back home, sitting on the sofa, has a spice bag.
Were they tempted production in any way to put two of you on the line? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, your position is all about top-end speed. Like,
she is a different animal.
Yeah, of course.
Like, obviously. But, I mean, like, she's only 22. I mean, she genuinely has a chance to become, like, one of the superstars in world athletics. Like, it's really... And just, she's great crack. We talk all the time about the rugby lads. We're so... media managed. We're so, don't give anything away. She's individual. She's great fun, great smile, talking about being good friends with Rihanna. Like Rihanna followed her on her Instagram and they're like mates. I mean, that's
there's a farmer in Wexford still looking for Rihanna, isn't there?
Found love in a hopeless place.
The two of them head down there and sort it out. Do you know what though? You love people that change the game. Or like we know they see it to believe it. But I'll never forget my little girls now when they go to athletics, they want Rhasidat's bow.
I know.
The whole time. You know what I mean? And just to nearly transcend a sport and to like jump out is exactly what she's
just a really nice girl as well. Like unbelievably talented. Unfortunately, Olympics didn't go the way she'd hoped. I mean, fourth isn't bad, is it? But my goodness, she's got a future for her as well.
Yeah, it's great. It's exciting.
Anyway, on the show, we're going to discuss lots of things. We have to discuss the Interpros. Obviously, Munster against Leinster. We'll get into that in the Croker. Ulster Connacht. We're going to discuss a bit about Johnny's book. You did a book. I want to know why you did a book. Was it worth it? But first, let's talk punditry.
Okay.
Like, what makes a good pundit? Why do you do punditry? Is it worth getting off the fence? Because, listen, we all know Munster had a shocker of result 2 weeks ago against Zebra. You were on the box and you kind of says it as it is, exactly what everybody at home on the sofa is thinking. But when you say that, when you put yourself out there, they use your words against you.
You've nailed it. Personally, for me, I'd agree with you. Sometimes you can feel as an ex-player that you can get used as a stick to beat your teammates or to even hurt what you love. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So I made a little rule for myself, Tommy, when I did it. I swore to myself I would say nothing that I wouldn't say to any of the lads' faces, or the big one for me was the review on the Monday. You know, the way we used to do it. Yeah. The review would go up, and if you had a problem, you spoke up there.
Like, nothing you could say would be more brutal than some of those reviews.
Agreed. People have no knowledge about how, and just to give some context of it, say you've a missed tackle for a try and the coaches are pointing you out, whereas the floor highlights everything else. So it's like, okay, Tommy misses, but look at the length of time Donnacha's on the ground and doesn't fill that space. So now there's so much time around for Tommy to get exposed like that. So
God, I used to hate those Monday reviews.
Yeah.
When it comes up in the video and the whole team are watching it, and you just know what's coming. Like, I sat in the row, I didn't make that tackle. You know, you have a shocker of a tackle.
Yeah.
But you calling it out on the telly, like, that's your job. And I think that sometimes, like, I know we'll talk about Johnny Sexton's book later, but he talked about in his book how he was pissed off that Paul O'Connell, Keith Wood, Brian O'Driscoll questioned him the time he got taken off for shaking his head. But you got to understand, like, when you're on the telly, when you're on the radio, when you're asked to give an opinion, you have to give insight. You have to give your honest opinion. And sometimes that's going to upset people.
Exactly. And the thing is as well, the group has to protect itself. Yeah. From you. You're off the bus. You're away from it now. You know, I don't have that tie in the bond. I don't know the work that's going in.
Yeah, of course.
So, they're right to distance themselves. Personally, I was a little bit annoyed that people were using my comments to question Dennis Leamy. You know what I mean? Like, if I have a problem with Dennis Leamy, I'll pick up the phone. You know what I mean? Like, we're good. You know what I mean?
Did Dennis have a problem with you, though?
No.
Or do you think it might drive a bit of a problem there?
No, but it left it open to this kind of, like, two teammates calling each other out. Yeah. Thankfully, Dennis, like, honestly, knows the loyalty, knows the bond, knows that I put my rig on the line for him as well, and he just, stood over it a little bit, which, I'll be honest, I appreciate it, because, Tommy, I was in Limerick that Thursday, and you're right, you get both sides of it, so I get fair play to you, Dunners, you didn't give him half enough of it. And
Big time.
Then you also get, O'Callaghan, like, you never moved at the breakdown. You were, you know what I mean? Or you were a penalty machine and you're giving the lads chip. Shut your mouth. And you're like,
well, they have a point there.
100%. And that's the thing as a pundit. You're not trying to say that you've never been
perfect.
100%.
No.
I've made all those mistakes the lads have made.
Well, we've all made those mistakes, which is why it shouldn't be a big deal. But whenever there's a result like that, Zebra, well, it was a shock.
Yeah.
And I suppose for round 3 and whatever else, the coaching team, they're able to use that. And they rectified it at the weekend against the Ospreys. But I always remember, like, Ferris, when we were playing, like, Stevie is retired of the game, 10 years, and he's still one of the best pundits in the game, I think, because he says it as it is.
Yeah.
But as a player, you don't like to hear it as it is.
Agreed.
And particularly you don't like, because whatever comes up on a Monday morning, that's within four walls. That's the team now. And when Stevie says it on RTE or says it on every weekend, like all of a sudden your neighbour knows about it, or the people down the road. And I'll never forget the first time I played for Ireland, and George Hook, like my first game for Ireland, you're so excited about it. You pick up the paper the next day, slating ratings. But I remember George Hook. Like, I'm from Monaghan. Rugby's not big in Monaghan. Certainly wasn't back when I started. So everybody was watching RT and to see what they thought about it. And George, well, I can't even do his accent.
Go on. Do a bit, Tommy. Just do a bit.
He's not fast enough for international rugby, right? And like all of a sudden, then that was it. Like Ryan Monaghan, I remember you going, yeah, it was great, but he's not fast enough. Like people swear, like people who don't follow the game all the time, like they have great kudos, and people listen to that
100%.
So that's what annoys people out with pundits. That if they're pulling it out just statements for the sake of it, but not able to back it up.
But I think times have changed. I think people sitting now watching rugby want to be educated even more than they are. Before, people used to watch rugby and they didn't understand it. Now loads of people know the game inside out. So I think there's actually an onus on pushing on. And that's why guys like Murray Kinsella are great. Like, not being harsh, right? But some of the stuff he puts up, if that was an RT review, it wouldn't really cut it. But I know for my family, it explains it really well, what's going on.
Really good. Now, and to be fair, that insight, like that's, you kind of think if you want to pundit, you need insight, you need that bit of knowledge, and you need somebody to kind of, honesty and to say it as it is. Yeah. And the insight is what the likes of Murray can do. The insight, though, as well, is what you or Stevie or Jamie can give. What's the bus journey like to Twickenham? What's it like turning up to Virgin Media Park and the hailstones are coming down like last weekend? Yeah. So the sort of stuff that people just don't know.
It can be frustrating though, because you never get to flesh out a point, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's all squeezed.
Yeah, it is very much so. And you understand that there's time and stuff like that, but that's why I'm actually glad we're doing this on rugby, because we have a format to kind of probably trash it out a little bit more. Just the last thing on the punditry stuff. I was quite complimentary to Munster the week before. I said, like, the character to get that win over Connacht was immense. You know what I mean? They played so poorly, but found something to get over the line. Then against the Ospreys,
everybody forgot that.
100%. But this is what I'm saying. There's this Irish narrative of let's go after the bad things the whole time. Like the Ospreys match, I was there. That was an immense win to win in those conditions. But that's never picked up. All we look for is, right, what can we find to flog the lads? And if I'm being completely honest, I find they do it more to Munster.
But
I'm deadly serious.
Well, that's because you do it.
No,
you lead it.
Well, actually, do you know what?
Like,
maybe that's true.
And to be fair, Ferris, like Ulster, get it massively as well.
Can I
it's just Leinster
can I be a little
it.
bit harsh on Stevie? Sometimes he's too harsh.
Well, he is, yeah.
To be fair, I watched the Glasgow game this year. To get that result was incredible. And then they went back to Fez and he was like Victor Meldrew. And you were there like 100% the performance needs to improve, Fez. But we
just beat the winner, the 100%.
Holders. You got over the line and they're a quality team.
Is it worth it? Do you know, like, there's a right commitment. You're giving up your Friday night, your Saturday night with the family if you're working during the week. The money's not wonderful for doing it. So, like, people like yourself are giving an opinion, driving the papers potentially during the week, giving the cannon fodder to the team. Yeah. Do you do it just for the love of it, though? No, it's your sport. You want to be there.
I suppose there is that bit of it, Tommy, but sometimes you do question it. After that week, I was there like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I love Munster rugby. You know what I mean? I would never try to hurt it or damage it in any way. But Munster rugby created me as well. Yeah. So they created this honest kind of, you know what I mean? Like, and when the dog bites back, don't be surprised that, you know what I mean? Oh, geez, that thing's got teeth. Oh, that we sharpened. So, you know what I mean? What about it? I do it because I love it. Like you, I know there's certain games that like Jenny slags me. She was there, you might as well work at it. You're going to go to it anywhere and you love it. And two of us, we're not rugby nerds, to be completely honest, but we love the game.
Well, that's why I'm not great as a pundit. I'll admit it. I don't really enjoy it. I love kind of, in a way I kind of enjoyed and purposely went to ask the questions. Because, Listen, I was a winger. I stood on the touchline, fixed my hair, waved to the crowd, kind of got shouted by the crowd, concentrate, will you? Caught the ball, put it in the corner, took all the glory. Do you know, like, that was kind of my job. Do you know, like, I was never a captain, even at under 12s. You know, I was never in a leadership meeting, really. I never got asked about tactics and why we're doing this. But I used to always question, like, I'd ask Johnny, like, why are we doing that? And he would, shut up, you dope, just do it. Will you stop asking questions? Genuinely. So that's why I kind of think, but I love the game, like, and that's why I'm delighted to do this podcast, because I kind of feel like I'm doing Ireland Dame. I've got loads of stuff going on, but I miss it.
Yeah,
I miss watching matches. I miss being involved and having an opinion on it, because I do, and I played for we all played for 10. You must have been 25 years. You're
being harsh on yourself, though, and of course you are. But I think you find the right roles. Like when we worked together and you were hosting, man, it was magic. It just telling you as a kind of reversing it to that pundit side, because I knew you would steer me along the rugby orientated questions.
Well, the thing is we like, and this is what I wanted to get as a presenter, was like that. I know what it's like in a changing room. Like, you know, that's sometimes maybe other presenters wouldn't know exactly what it's like to be on the team bus, what's the nerves like, but that's up to the pundit as well. But I just thought that was a point of difference. But yeah, like I do miss the punditry stuff, and I am doing the Ulster Connacht match this weekend as well. I can't wait, because being pitch side for that one,
that is going to be some good game.
Go on, we'll talk about the rugby now. We'll start off with the big one. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Ulster Connacht is going to be
Ulster Connacht.
His face just
We'll get to it. But
Croke Park sell out pretty much. Like, where else would you get 80,000+ people going to watch a match for like this early in the season? It really says a lot about Irish rugby, and it says about the rivalry of Leinster Munster.
Yeah, it does. I'll be honest, I'm a little bit conflicted on it, to be completely honest with you, because I see this as yet another way of Leinster accelerating their economical advantage. Yeah. You know what I mean? If they can fill Croke Park, you know, what's it at now? 74,000?
I don't know, I think we're nearly 80,000.
There you go.
I was talking to a Munster supporter about this morning, and they said, but surely Munster go half on that. It's like, no chance. I said, everyone I know in Limerick is going to this match. I said, yeah, not one penny of that is going back to Munster.
100% it. You'd nearly feel like, Tommy, I was so proud. Like, the conditions in Virgin Media Park on Saturday were horrendous. There was 8,000 Munster supporters
drenched for 3 hours,
absolutely soaking. And there's your loyal fan base that are there the whole time.
Yeah,
I think they get lost in it if they try to travel up to Dublin. Between hotels, travel, all the costs. You know what I mean? It's a fair reach every time. But I loved the model the Welsh lads had. Do you remember they did Judgment Day?
Oh yeah.
Where imagine if the month
Stephen's Day, and have all 4 provinces playing Croke Park.
Could you imagine if Connacht Ulster was on before Munster Leinster? You got everyone there. Everyone shared a bit of the pot.
But you know what, Dunners? Everyone who's listening now, particularly the Leinster supporters, just saying you're just bitter.
100%.
And you have a right to be bitter, because
no, I'm not bitter. I just see. I admire them for it. They are 100% playing to their advantage.
Yeah.
And their advantage is 100% on the pitch at the moment, but economics helps it, so that they can go off and sign whoever they want, put in better facilities, get more coaching times in youths and schools.
Bring in the players that they have. Snyman's coming in, Jordy Barrett's coming in, Slimani, the prop is coming in.
Slimani, can we just be honest there? Imagine having that in your ranks to just sit there. He hasn't talked out yet.
He's a proper French international, serious, one of the best props around.
Yeah, I see it.
That was a flex, wasn't it?
100% that was a flex. Because you could imagine the market. Who wouldn't kill for a player like that?
Yeah. But which one of the other provinces wouldn't kill for a player like that?
But I think the nature of the Interpro as well, and you're going to honestly go for me here now if I'm being off, but we've Jack Dunn in Exeter, we've Ross Maloney in Bath.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 100% Snyman is a bums on seat player. You know what I mean? And if you're going to try to fill Croke Park, you need those X-Factor players. But you're asking me as a rugby man, who would I like to see there? I'd like to see our own hopping off each other.
No, you wouldn't. You'd want to see Snyman there. Listen, at the end of the day, from Leinster's point of view, they need the RDS is getting redeveloped, so they need to try and so they're obviously playing their matches in the Aviva or Croke Park. They need to have bums on seats, and come Six Nations time, if they can pull a Geordie Barrett, a Slimani, a Snyman in there for those matches when the internationals away, they will hopefully get more numbers there, and they need to win a trophy. Like Dunners Munster have won more trophies that Leinster have in the last couple of years. So if these are the guys that are going to get them, and let's be honest, they've just sold out 80,000 in Croke Park. They're going to be able to afford it.
They 100% are. This, honestly, I actually think by us all doing this, we're feeding a monster.
Oh, we are,
and they're only like this happened Munster before with the Aviva, and now, like Tommy, let's be honest, I'd rather Ireland versus New Zealand in Croke Park than Munster versus Leinster. I'd rather more Irish people got access to tickets to support the team, whereas this is very much.
Why don't Munster play more matches in Porky Queeve then?
It's access to, but there's also probably agreements in place with stuff like that. But they've played 2 games there. They've won 2 games there.
It was pretty damn impressive.
It was incredible.
Do you remember playing Croke Park?
Yeah.
I remember like playing there. Like as a winker and in the backfield and stuff, like you actually forget how small the pitch is compared, like the rugby pitch compared to the football pitch. Like it's unbelievable. Like there's at least a good 20 metres either side, all dimensions. And I remember like catching the ball in my own 22 and like, listen, my last option was to kick it.
Yeah.
But I remember catching it in the 22 and looking, and Rog was there going, kick it.
Rog wasn't. Every forward in front of you was there going, oh no, Tommy has it.
But you normally kind of have you had an awareness of the touchlines by where all the hoarding were. And you look up and you're like, don't know where, and I'm just hoofing it. No clue where the touchlines were. And you could tell with the kicks. Yeah. But it's weird. I think it's really, and unless you're like running in to where the stadium is, like I find it a really odd stadium to like real amazing. Love the opportunity to play there, and for those Munster players this weekend who haven't had the chance to play in Croke Park, there's so much history in it.
Of course.
And you always want to play there. And like we had Paddy Andrews, the Dublin footballer, on with us in the morning show the other day. And like I asked him, did you ever want to play in Lansdowne Road with the Aviva? He's like, no chance. Nah. But there isn't, because it's not the same history as it for, Croke Park's where you want to be.
Exactly. Monaghan boy. Like every young fella, where do you want to go? Croke Park is honestly, it's our cathedral of sport. Yeah. But I think you're right. And I don't mean to be any bit disrespectful. Like, it is an honour to play there, but the rugby dimensions, the pitch on it, it's weird, isn't it?
It's like the Aussie rules.
Yeah.
Playing in Australia.
It's not, or when you play and there's a track around something.
But this Murrayfield and stuff.
Yeah, this is a bit weird. Like, I'll never forget those games with Ireland. You'd give a line out off the top, right? Yeah. And then you'd hit the ground and you'd take your first 2 steps away, and then you'd hear the cheer. It's like the sound hits you late. Yeah. And that kind of, or at scrums or something like that. I was always convinced there was like strippers on the pitch or streakers or something, that you'd hear the crowd kind of. But there's this delay. It's really.
I'm going to blame that on not knowing where I was at different times. Definitely was a streaker somewhere. Tommy, the bloody plays on.
No, the thing is weird. It is an honour, and it is great that rugby gets this chance to be seen in this spot.
And it's going to be amazing. Like, it is going, like, I know the atmosphere and all maybe hits a little bit later, but geez, running out onto the stadium this weekend, like Munster Leinster, like, it's going to be insane. And particularly this earlier in the season to have that kicking off.
Of course. And like, Tommy, just to turn this into a confession box, like that game in 2009, man, I swear to you, there isn't a day in my life I don't think of that game in 2009.
The Ireland-England game?
No, the Munster-Leinster match.
Oh, right.
Sorry. The Ireland-England game is...
That was 2009. That was... Yeah. Which one was that?
Do you remember we lost to them in a semi-final in Croke Park?
Oh, sorry. The Munster-Leinster one. Yeah, sorry.
But you're right. Sorry,
why? Just the devastation. That was the turning point, wasn't it?
Everyone makes that the turning point. It wasn't the turning point. Really. Well, you know what? We 100% underperformed. But I know this might sound arrogant, and we were a better team, man.
Exactly. That's why it was the turning point.
It was, and
I remember watching the pub, and it was Munster support. Like Munster were on such a high leading up to that year.
Should we play G in the remember down in?
Yeah, I don't remember that with the Ospreys.
But like, to be fair,
that was probably one of the most worst days. Like some crack, but we got absolutely hammered by Munster that day.
I've never felt more on it as a team. You didn't, honestly, Tommy, this sounds nuts, right? We didn't even have to think. You know what I mean? It was like a machine. And then what probably happened a little bit, I think at that time, 8 of us got announced as Lions.
Yeah.
Leading into that weekend. Can you imagine being in that Leinster camp? You know what I mean? Hearing all this, hearing all you'd be licking your lips.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, it's you know the way we always chat, scars on careers. That is one, I swear, I think about that every day. What I wouldn't give for that moment back.
Do you, because, and we'll get to this again, but in Johnny's book, which we're going to discuss as well, he talks about that. And that was, of course, the game where there's the famous picture of him screaming in Rod's face.
Yeah.
The time that Rod threw the intercept, of course, Draco caught it as well. Talk about rubbing salt in your wounds. Can you let that go? You can't let that go.
No, I can't, because everyone, and of course, Draco, everyone sees the intercept. Yeah. I see the poor alignment between myself and Paulie. We had this thing called kind of chalk and cheese, a set up off 10.
Yeah.
I'm late to get back, so I can't leave the pass go across me to hit Paul.
So it was your fault.
Yes, yeah, but sorry, hold on. There's no back as well. Like we were missing. I think Rua wasn't playing. Who I can't.
You organised all that. It was the other option, which made it easy read for Draco.
100%, and that's what happens. Like people don't understand the different steps up, but when you play against world class, like you show any bit of weakness to Brian O'Driscoll, it's over.
Okay, so if you think about it for this weekend's game. Like Leinster are that far ahead, but I think it's getting tighter again. Leinster and Munster, particularly last season, showed that as well. Do you think if Munster can, take a scalp this weekend?
Sorry, it's horrible from me, but it's not to the same value. No. This is a league match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need the jeopardy to be that high again.
But it's still a big game, a big platform, a big opportunity to kind of set their line in the sand where they see themselves this season.
Yeah, of course. But I think Munster showed that, and the progression has been a little bit slower. But that URC win, and especially that Crowley drop goal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like no one's going, oh, there's the turning point. Maybe they will in time. But to be fair, Munster going into this weekend, devastated with injuries. You know what I mean?
Pete being out, a big blow. Jaeger, the front row out, is another big blow. Lots of injuries. I mean, it's going to be a tough one. I'm really excited to see Jack Crowley up against Kieran Frawley, the battle of the tens.
Yeah.
Like I think going into the November internationals, the New Zealand game, you would think that Crowley probably has the number 10 jersey, but I think Frawley, the way he played in that first half last weekend against Benetton and the way he got those drop goals over in South Africa, that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, of course. His big thing is game time.
Yeah.
Would you agree? I agree he's a 10. I think
they got to give it to him. They got to give him every opportunity now because Ireland don't need any more 12s and 13s.
No, of course. But the only thing is, I think he only played 35 minutes. He certainly didn't.
Injured a lot.
No, last week he didn't get as much game time. There was injuries. He had to shuffle in, stuff like that. Leinster at the moment, we've seen in the first 3 rounds, 3 different out halves. The one that everyone probably is excited about is Sam Prendergast. He looks like a player. We've seen like that emerging Ireland tour is good because there's a guy he's played 4 games. He's probably played more rugby than any of the rest of our 10s in the country.
Frustrating for a lot of the teams though, losing players. Listen, we have to talk Snyman.
Yes, yeah.
For Munster to lose him, they had him for 4 years. Yeah. He didn't play much rugby.
No, he didn't.
Like when he did play, was it 2 seasons ago when Munster won the trophy, the URC that year? He was point of difference, wasn't he? Like him going to Leinster. Like it's I kind of want to think like the ultimate kick in the teeth, isn't it?
I personally I found it weird. I just don't see the flow in that. I think rivalries exist. If you listen to James Lowe's words, that there's actually that strong dislike, which I disagree with.
Well, then we actually have a clip of James Lowe and hear what he said in the press conference this week.
There's a mutual hate of each other. It's pretty, you say it in the most respectful way and, there's some excellent players in that Munster side. To watch the growth of the likes of Casey and Jack and Calvin and they're all boys who very, very friendly with when it's an Irish camp, but I can tell you on Saturday that goes out the window. I'm still going to want to run over, Casey and try get one on Jack, and, same with Calvin. And I'm sure they're saying the same thing.
Like, he's saying hatred there.
I think it's wrong. Genuinely. I never hated any of the Leinster lads. In fact, you go through the likes of Cian Healy, Brian O'Driscoll, Gordon Darcy, Jamie Heaslip, my vintage of lads. Yeah. There's massive respect.
Huge rivalry, huge respect.
It's the closest thing to going up against your brother. You don't hate your brother, but you want to snod him one.
Why do you think he said it? Why do you think? Do you think maybe that is what they've heard in the Leinster camp?
Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised by it. I know, I'll be honest with you, I go back to people that I kind of respect, but Declan Kidney, I know Decky would get loads out of that with our crew. Crew.
So that's the perfect sort of fodder. This is what they're saying.
But it gives you real insight, doesn't it? Like maybe we think it's a rivalry. We know from James Lowe, from their eyes, it's hatred.
Well, this is what they're saying to get up to it. Like, this kind of shows where the position, like, if you look, through the starting 15 that Leinster have, like, it's unbelievably strong. Like, the fact that they're having to go back to hatred and this to try and build those players up. Yeah, I'm surprised that I wonder, maybe is that why they brought James Lowe out there, because he knew he might have said that. Yeah. Maybe he has a particular hatred. Like, I know he's had some pretty massive battles with Leinster over the years. But I was.
What were the ticket sales before he said that? You know what I mean? Yeah, you wonder, are we into this game? Are we now promoting? You know what I mean? What next? Peter O'Mahony comes out in a duck outfit, you know what I mean? And calls them all ducks. Or
there's only one man for that, Donncha. You'll be wheeled out, man.
But I personally, I was disappointed to hear that. Of course, we want to knock lumps out of each other. Yeah. But honestly, because of fellas like you, because of Dricko, Darce, Jamie, all these brilliant...
So that's Gordon, Darcy, Jamie.
Thank you. Exactly. You saved me from nicknames. But I have a
C4 here he is coming out. Dorse.
But I have a Grand Slam medal, and it's off the back of those guys. You know what I mean? I don't ever take them for granted.
I'd say, though, She's Dunners, you were one of the toughest competitors, though. Yeah. Like, you would have built yourself. Like, you were an animal going out onto the pitch. Like, I remember, the anger in your face. Yeah. Like, whenever, you used to get so psyched up for matches. And I'd say, particularly when it was Leinster. Yeah. So did you not have to say, I hate these guys?
No, I didn't. But honestly, I swear, Tommy, all I would think, honestly, and it was nearly driven by Dricko again. Yeah. I want him to, Brian O'Driscoll, sorry. I want him to respect me. I want him to know when I go out with him that I'm half decent at my role. Yeah. And that was always, I thought it was, you played to gain respect.
I love the Interbros.
Yeah, same here.
So good. Because that's what it is. It's about the respect of your teammates down in Ireland, like going down to Ireland camp and being proud of your performance, instead of them kind of going, sure, he's not worth it, he shouldn't be here.
But then you earn the right. Like, I remember Trimby, the way coaches wouldn't have rated Trimby as much. Or Simon Easterby's another kind of one. Yeah. You play against him, man, God, and you're there. This guy is a machine.
Animal.
Yeah, so... Yeah.
And does the dirty work that you don't see.
100%.
That you would think coaches would see, but people like me wouldn't see. No. And then all of a sudden you're in a match and you're in a ruck and he goes and sticks an elbow in the back of your head or something. But, oh, geez, right, Simon doesn't mess about.
Yeah, but he finds a way to win. And all those good fellas, they make the pitch smaller for... You know what I mean? Like, there is space for you because it's been earned by some workhorse like him smashing 5-6 rucks.
We'll get your prediction in a minute. We'll have to talk about Ulster Connacht then as well. The big one up in Kingspan Stadium, Belfast. Listen, from my point of view, Ulster obviously started the season, we mentioned it earlier, beat Glasgow, who are the holders this year. Ulster are going to go through it's a tough year. They've lost a lot of players. They don't have much money. But one thing, and you were talking about it earlier, that the Ulster supporters have been crying out for years, is they want to see young, homegrown Ulster players get the opportunity. And at the minute, whether they like it or not, that's all we can do at the minute.
Absolutely.
And you have McNabney, you have McCann, you have Doak, you have all these young lads who are getting out there. And maybe
Humps is young fella at the weekend.
Exactly. And
he was decent.
He was brilliant.
Yeah.
So, I think from an Ulster point of view, they're not probably going to be at the very top. Let's hope they are, from my point of view. Yeah. But like, if they can be competitive and win all their home games, like going to South Africa, playing up at high altitude, like that's so difficult up there. But I don't think they'll lose any sleep over that. They got the win against Glasgow at home first game. Unfortunately, they played in fits and starts over in South Africa. But I think this one against Connacht, they have to. Like, I think this is a must win for Ulster.
I agree with you. But I actually think you don't realise how tied to it you still are. That is the goal for Ulster this year. Win at home. Make Kingspan, make it a fortress again. Yeah. Tommy, I can tell you, man, we hated going there.
I know.
You were, and I'm not just saying it, you were fearful. You were like, I am going to get fobbed around the place here. And it's probably getting that back.
It lost that. Yeah, it did
has
lose
a little
that.
bit.
They know that.
Yeah. Well, Connacht are the perfect example of it. Yeah. They've gone up there numerous times now and come away with the result, and they're looking to do it again. Yeah. So I agree, Richie Murphy is in a rebuild. He's got brilliant tools. I agree with Ulster supporters. If you bring on your own, they'll give you so much more. Of course, you need the brilliant talent around it to nurture it. That's what we got with the likes of Jim Williams. You need good professionals to learn a little bit more.
I'd like to talk about that another time as well, but the other, like the bringing those world-class players in, like we're seeing with Leinster have got 3 coming into them this year. The other provinces don't have to the same level. But at the same time, Ulster are just in a rebuilding phase. From Connacht's point of view, like I look at Connacht's backline. With Mac Hansen in there, with Bundiaki, Cordero, the full-back, you have Ioane coming in as well.
Coppell forward, man.
Yes.
Did you see the nuts on that kick against the Scarlets?
That's the sort of, like, that kick, last play of the game. You know, when Scarlets go ahead just a few minutes before that, you kind of think Connacht in the past would have crumbled. Yeah. Like, it finished 11th last season, they wouldn't be too happy. But for them to get that kick at the end, that's a big statement.
It does, and I think it could show the little difference between Connacht and Ulster at the moment.
Yeah,
Connacht,
absolutely. Yeah.
They've learned that. They've learned to kind of find a way now to get over the line. Whereas, like, I go back to the Bulls game with Ulster. You get anything out of a game like that. Yeah. It's not going your way, but find a way to get a bonus point.
Get the bonus point. Get that fourth try,
Come away with something, and you can just see there's brilliant players, but they're young, and you got to learn, and that's where Ulster are at the moment.
No, I agree. I just think that, yes, if they had to come away with 1 bonus point from that. And listen, no one wants to, you don't want to go to South Africa this time of the year as well. You want to be going there January time, maybe March, April. It's the end of a long winter. You don't want to be going there. They'll just finish pre-season.
100%. Do you know who should get in trouble? The Lions. You know the way the Lions, right? The Lions have umbrellas because it's so sunny. That shouldn't be allowed. Like, you know, it's
rubbing it in.
Forget about the altitude. There's no umbrellas left into Thomond Park, so you shouldn't be allowed umbrellas for the heat. Imagine it being so hot. But people, we played at altitude. People have no idea how horrendous it is. Something can just happen that you might actually be travelling okay, but I can be, like, honestly, I feel like I'm wearing a COVID mask.
It's horrific. Like, you literally can't get your breath. Yeah. And I remember, like, even those lads, like, flying over, they're going Belfast to London, London to Dubai, Dubai to Johannesburg, Johannesburg onto Pretoria. Like, it's a serious trek.
Yeah, it is.
You know, you're talking 22, 24 hours travelling to go up to high altitude, to get your body ready for that, to play it's a tough challenge, but that's the league this year. I suppose everyone's got to do it.
The league's been incredible.
Can we just say that?
We're 4 rounds in and you haven't seen rugby like it. Like, to be fair, Glasgow coming out, Cardiff coming out, some of the performances we've seen have been incredible in the URC. And I'll be honest with you, I'd like, a bit like Fez, I'd like to be a little bit critical. But at the moment, you're looking at it going, this is brilliant rugby. And it's for Irish provinces to be in this good of a league.
Yeah.
You're like, we are so fortunate.
The competitiveness of it is great, isn't it? And it's good to see the likes of Glasgow and stuff really competing as well.
Yeah, well, sorry, I know I feel bad as a Munster man. I actually really like Glasgow at the moment. I love the way they play. I love the way they answer mauls. They keep you high up down the pitch. And there's probably there's distance with that bit of age, but
don't know if you're going to get in trouble as a Munster man being good.
One
to
thing
Glasgow.
I'd say though, centre wise, I think they're knocking at the door. Man. Yeah. Like, we could be looking at Leinster.
Who, with Glasgow?
Yeah,
Tuipulotu and stuff, like, amazing. Hugh Jones, unbelievable.
Both of them and that combination. Yeah. And I always feel that about centres and maybe second rows. if you can get a combination, it nearly doubles the value. If you know what I mean, rather than individuals that are great at it.
No, it's great. I mean, the league, to be fair, is really competitive. It's just what can you want as a supporter? You want it to be competitive. You just hope that Leinster, with all this money coming in with Croke Park, the distance isn't going to get bigger between the two of them. Come on, we'll move on to another topic then. We'll get your predictions at the end.
Predictions? We're not doing predictions, are we?
Are we not? Okay, you're going Munster, I'm going Ulster. Happy days, job done. Johnny's book.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's caused quite the ripple.
It's caused quite the ripple. And to be fair, listen, fair play to him, because Johnny could have easily rested on his laurels. Didn't probably, maybe had signed the book deal before. But, like, to be honest in it... you know, when Paul Kimmage did an article, did an interview with him at the weekend, and when Paul Kimmage says, this is a good book. He doesn't mince his words.
No, not at all.
So Johnny's obviously given a great insight into what's going on and given a real opinion. And it goes back to the whole punditry side. You have the option to sit on the fence and just sell books and just take the royalties coming up to Christmas, or you have the opportunity to actually be like I suppose in recent times, like Earlsy's book was really honest.
Yeah, it was.
Like it all goes back to, I'm trying to think, yours wasn't very honest, was it?
It was very... My new one, there's a kid's book coming. That is a disaster, Dad. October 24th. You can pre-order now on the link below.
Very honest. If you want some parenting tips, don't read
what
that.
What not to do. But
why, when you did the book, Lowe, what was the motivation? Why did you want to do it?
At the time, I was chatting to them and they were like, there's a window now, and we don't know, is that window still going to be there in time? Because in time, you always think, I'd like to do it.
Did you want to do it though?
At the time, probably not. But no, I'm really glad I did it.
Are you? Why?
Because it boxes off that selfish...
the person that you
athlete,
were. Yeah.
100%. I read it back over the summer and I'm there like, whoa, this guy, it's incredible. For me, it's dark, you know what I mean? And like you mentioned, that kind of the way I would probably have to get to get myself ready.
Well, to be a professional athlete, you have to be very selfish. People talk about the wives and girlfriends. It's not a nice position for them.
No, it's horrible. But I remember Jenny giving out to me one time because I was having my own breakfast before I gave the kids theirs. And in my head, I'm thinking...
I still do that, do you not?
But in my I was there, I'm doing conditioning games in 90 minutes. And if I haven't these poached eggs and porridge down, I'm seeing them again. You know what I mean? Whereas they're having cornflakes and heading off to the monkey maze. But
that's what you got to be.
Yeah.
So you see a massive difference in your, like, do you think that Johnny in years to come will regret?
No, I don't.
So, like, have you different did you, like, because this, like, I didn't do a book, and one of the reasons was I didn't want to have, I always think of the Andre Agassi book. There's certain books out there that they're so honest, that they're painful, that I'd say he looks back and that goes, why did, like, it creates awkwardness, because to sell books you have to serialize. You either kind of have to slag people off, or you have to give opinions on controversial matters, and it just was like, I just don't really need to do that.
I don't agree. I don't think you do have to do that to sell books. I think all Johnny has done here is remain what he absolutely is, a competitor, and being honest. And that's what I want to read. That's what I want to see. That's what I know. You know what I mean? So, like, all of a sudden, I don't want Johnny throwing bouquets and saying things that they weren't.
Yeah, you want to be honest. Yeah, you're right.
And he's always been that. We've been lucky enough to be around him that... Like, he's always been massively driven. He's always been straight down the line. And by the sounds of it, he's done it again in this book.
And to be fair to him, like Riku Ioane has had a bit of a go on him over New Zealand. I think Israel Dag has had a go at him for what he said at the end of the New Zealand final, which you can imagine, such an emotional thing. And like New Zealander, Ioane told him, you know, enjoy your flight home. Like, Johnny's just telling what actually happened there. You know, he's not really giving an opinion on it. Like, he's just telling what happened. So there's no, why are people getting upset when he's actually telling you, giving you understanding his opinion, his view of what it was like at the time?
I'll never forget. Remember, we bombed out against Argentina in
15, was it?
Yeah, no. 7.
Yeah.
And
oh, geez, that one.
Yeah.
The France one.
Yes.
Oh, God. So and I missed that one, thank God.
They were well up near the end of it. And I remember Felipe Contaponi just gave me a slap on the cheek and he went, "You will be sitting on your couch this time tomorrow." And I remember being like, and do you know what, Tommy? It didn't land till I sat my arse on the couch. It was like, but that... you know what I mean? That's the game.
You love that.
I loved it. I'd love him in my team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's the little bit. But people have no regard for that moment that Johnny was in. That's a career built into that moment.
Yeah.
You like, for every time you picked up a rugby ball, it has been all down to that moment.
And
you
he
come
knew
up.
it was his last game.
100%.
He knew everything rested on that. He knew he was part of a team that could, and he believed we were going to win the World Cup. We all did. My God.
Yeah.
Like, what an opportunity.
The one thing I'd say about the book, what I didn't realise, you can be that honest and you can have these opinions, right? Because, you know what I mean? It's your name on it. I had no idea how it would affect people close to me. So in my book, I spoke about my childhood and growing up. My dad passed away really young. But I didn't realise that my brothers, my sister Emer, had a different kind of
opinion on it, or view of it, or memory of it.
Exactly. And I remember them reading it going, wow, man, I didn't know you were thinking that at that time.
Did you not talk to them about it?
I did.
Or maybe this opened up the chat with it?
Yeah, a little bit. But they would have always thought, like, I remember my brother Ulton kind of going, you were 6, man. I didn't know you'd remember that. You know, that part of this and how clear some of the memories are. So, of course, you know what I mean? Like, for Johnny there, of course it's going to stir emotion with different people. But I suppose it is his truth, if you know what I mean.
And is it a legacy? Do you look forward to the kids reading it? Do you think, like, is that another reason you did it? That's your chapter and you'll be able to look back and remember it? Because, to be fair, you probably don't remember half the stuff that goes on. I remember no stuff really
you're
goes on.
Playing yourself down.
Well, no, but for my own, there's the small memories that actually I'd say you reading that actually jogs your memory again.
100% it. And it just brings me back to that time. Yeah. Honestly, it brings you back to being a selfish competitor.
It's just worth it.
I felt it was. I am delighted that I have something that documents me in that time, because I'll be honest with you, I'm nowhere near that fella now. And I'm kind of glad to leave him in that book, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I hope Johnny can do that, because, being honest, you can't stay like that. In the real world, you can't go around giving out to you for not running line.
I just get given out to every day anyway, as it is.
Imagine HR.
You can't say
around,
that.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Listen, we could talk for another hour and a half, but listen, we'll wrap it up now, I think, because we're going to be doing this every week.
Yes,
we're going to have loads to discuss, and the crack's going to be good. Yeah,
looking forward to it. Let's not do predictions. Yeah, no every old arsehole does predictions. If you want predictions, check out the bookmakers.
Go to Nicky Byrne's podcast. He'll give you a podcast. He'll give you a prediction.
Call it for the weekend, Nicky, will you?
Or come for him. Dunners, happy days. Listen, great to catch up. And listen, we want to hear from you as well. Get in touch on social media. The Offload. The Offload _podcast.
It's had about 12 different names. So we'll go with this one.
On Instagram. We want to get some good questions as well. Some real quirky ones.
Yes.
Like about, honestly, you want to hear about Dunners and Jenny going into the restaurant together. Some of the mad stuff he's done. And listen, anything at all, throw it at us, and we have loads to discuss, but it's great crack. Thanks very much. Look forward to this every Friday.
Good on you, Tommy.